respectful. Everybody's going to have a right to their say. No one's going to get out of control. And once again, this is not a meeting about religion. This is a meeting about housing discrimination. And as we understand it, and we are here as elected officials trying to get you the answers on what is going on with this community, and like you, we're struggling trying to get those answers. So with that, I'm State Delegate Impallaria. If you could all stand, face the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, once again, I want to thank you all for coming. And there was a meeting at the Sheriff's Department about 2 weeks ago. We got some new information at that meeting. And at that meeting, Billy Boniface, who represented the county, did come. We asked him to attend this meeting to answer the questions that we had mailed into them ahead of time, that they actually had the time to look at. And unfortunately, the response back from the county was that they didn't feel it was necessary to answer these questions. And unfortunately, we really didn't get solid answers once again from the county. But for Mr. Boniface that night, he said that some of these permits were going to be put on hold, that there was going to be some environmental studies and some environmental requirements that were going to have to be done by the county. And apparently, they must have did that, because this morning, I received this in the mail. And what this is a federal lawsuit by Gemcraft Homes, who is suing myself, Delegate Pat McDonough, the county executive, Mr. Billy Boniface, the head of the planning department for Harford County, and also Ms. Lambert, the county attorney. And as I read through some of this, and I'm not going to go into detail on it, but as I read through it, they clearly stated that they have sold 22 homes to Muslims only, which that was the question of housing discrimination. How can you target one group of people, which unfortunately we were told was not the case, but the lawsuit that came today clearly states that is the case. It also talks about the mosque and being denied the right to put the mosque in. And once again, we were told that this was a community that was supposed to be open to everybody after the fact. So Dr. Fahid is here, and some of you may have saw him on TV, and I'm going to let him have a few words as we go on in the meeting. And I told Dr. Fahid, I said, you know, you were put in a bad spot, because a website was put out with information. He then was put on TV to say that that information was put out by people who didn't understand what was going on. And then after those statements were made, the federal lawsuit then came and stated, yes, that is true, and this is the facts, and we were suing anyone who tries to stop us from what we're doing. So that is where we are right now. We have spoken with the Attorney General's office for the state of Maryland. As elected officials, Delegate McDonough and myself will be represented by the Attorney General's office at this point. I don't know why they left Kathy alone. I just, you know. So it's like Smokey and a Bandit. Kathy's going to have to jump up and move in and say, "Hey, I'm here too." But so I want you to understand that as your elected officials, not all of your elected officials were this way, and you know that. We put our families, our lives, and our treasures on the line to fight and defend you. And receiving this lawsuit has not backed any one of us off one little bit, nor will it. And you have brave neighbors out there like Gina and George who have also won and filed with the feds a housing discrimination complaint. And Gina, could you tell us a little bit about that? And I know George wants to, because he signed a line. He put his family and his treasure on the line for this community to get answers, and we deserve answers, and you know we deserve answers. We're going to get to the questions in a minute, okay?
Hi, and thank you. My name is Gina Pimentel, and my husband George and I, we are residents, local residents, realtors for 19 years. We're bound by code of ethics, bound by fair housing rules, bound by a lot of rules, who we can sell to and who we live with. So I am doing what's called client care. I sold my client, George and I sold our client the 4th house, a resale over on Trails Way. Gave him every confidence that I had done all the research, that there's nothing to worry about. You're part of a thriving 55 and older community of very beautiful homes. You're going to be fine here. I get a call, he buys it in May. August, the transfer happens. I get a call in April. Gina, can you just tell me who my new neighbors are? And of course, I promised you, I'll do the research. I knocked on doors. I looked up the internet. I looked everywhere to see where this house was being sold. There's a room full of realtors in here that have the same access I do. Nobody could find it. So when we saw the trusses with Gemcraft, that was a clue. I called, no answer. I called the county. We don't sell, we just have the permits. This is who it is. I did the research, found out OT LLC, managing member, trace it back, CEO of Gemcraft. So we asked the questions, we never got the answers. So now, 3 months goes by, and this website shows up, and it's shared with me, and it clearly says what this lawsuit states and restates. But we still wanted questions, because there's no way Harford County would sell exclusively to a restricted community that didn't own all the land. They don't own those 4 lots. You are protected under federal law. Fair housing has an exemption for religious organizations and small groups, but you have to be acting and living, and you have to own all the land. This housing development was approved in 2004 against a lot of rough. And I was sure that this was going to continue in the way that it was supposed to be. 55 and older, diversified community. It is not. So the question is, who sold these 22 houses? We saw on the website, they'll be offered by a realtor from the developer. Does the realtor have a license to sell houses in Maryland, in Harford County, to a restricted group? Question number 1. The other one is, there's no advertisement. If you generally advertise everything out in the open, and you do one thing different, and we as realtors know, handle every file the same, treat everyone the same. This wasn't treated the same as all the rest of the business that Gemcraft did. Still is not. I've gotten a phone call today from Channel 2 News. I got a call from other people. Where is this community? No, because they're selling it to the public, which is not true. That's the other layer of our lawsuit. So fair housing, the feds have seen enough merit in this case to further investigate fair housing and civil violations. The owner has filed a fair housing complaint because his civil liberties have been unjustly cut. So that's where I stand. I want them to, they'll do their investigation. We're obviously up against something that we don't have a choice in, and that's what we want. we want to have fair housing in our lovely community.
This is George, who filed and signed on the dotted line for the complaint.
Thank you. Basically, I want to say that, yes, we want to invite our Muslim friends to our community, but we also want everybody to follow the same laws that we all do and abide by them, okay? I do have a problem with how they're doing it, because it was all done under this secrecy. Why? You know, if you're doing something under secrecy, it's because you're trying to hide something.
Right.
And you know that we're going to oppose it. So what I say to you is, come to us and treat us with respect, and do things correctly, and we will in turn treat you correctly. But the way you've done it doesn't fall right to us. You're disrupting our community, and quite frankly, you're being disrespectful to us. You're not doing things correctly. Come and live amongst us, but don't do it this way. Treat us with respect. And then, you know, I was born at night, but not last night. You know, that you let an intern do your marketing, you know, on a project that is, you know, multi-million-dollar project. I'm not sure I buy that, okay? So a lot of the things that were on our website contradict the zoning for this land. You know, blatantly. It's no longer up, so we can't see it, but it had a lot of contradiction to the zoning for this land. And so, there's a lot of problems. I know that the county can't do anything because those things have not been violated yet. Until you move in and you start violating them, then they can do something. And I think we're gonna be watching that. So I ask you to come, live amongst us, but do it with respect and treat us correctly. Thank you.
So since this has all begun, we have had the Baltimore Sun paper carrying it, getting more of the news out. You know, we have limited funds. We're paying out of our own pockets to get what mailers out and what flyers we can do to get this stuff out there to the public to let you know what's going on. It has been covered on both 680 and WBAL Talk Radio. I know I've been interviewed, Delegate McDonough's been interviewed, and Delegate McDonough was interviewed on Channel 2 News, I believe. So we're doing what we can to get as much information out there as possible to the community. So I would think right now, and we haven't got to talk to the county or the county attorney, but as we talk to the Attorney General's office, we will get more information that with this lawsuit, I would think that they have successfully stopped their own project with this, because no one's going to be releasing permits, and the courts have decided on this packet right here. And that could take a long, long time. And we're not sure exactly why this was done. We're not sure exactly why Delegate McDonough and I were added to this lawsuit, because Delegate McDonough and I cannot issue permits, and Delegate McDonough and I cannot cancel permits. So the only reason I can think to add us to this lawsuit was to threaten and intimidate us, to get us to go away, and to get us to not represent you. That's why we were added to this lawsuit, to make us be afraid. Hey Pat, is that going to work? I'm scared. Right. Be afraid to represent you. So no, that is not going to happen. So Dr. McDonough, if you could come up and say a few words about how you feel on being brought into the spotlight.
I'm not accustomed to being brought into the spotlight. My opinion is very simple. I can tell you, if the day ever comes when the elected representatives of the people and the people themselves are prohibited by legal action from doing their job that they were elected to do, it's in our state and federal constitution. If that day ever comes, It will be the end of our great republic. That is what this is. This will not get through court, but it will attract national attention to this issue. There is a powerful legal foundation waiting in the wings to bring this case to the nation's attention. Fundamentally, just person to person, it's pretty stupid. I don't get it. It's a tactic that's not going to work. It's going to fly back in the face of those who are, I guess, proposing or supporting the project. It certainly isn't going to make them real popular among super citizens like yourselves. And it's going to be denied. And it's a waste of their time, and it's a waste of everybody else's time. The real solution, of course, is to be transparent, to sit down and disclose exactly what is going on and try to work together to figure out what is the best way to do things. The people who are concerned, the neighborhoods, aren't opposed to any kind of religious input. It's just the idea that you gotta play by the rules like everybody else. So I don't know who was advising the people involved in this venture from the beginning, but I will say to you or to them, get different advisors. Because you're just bringing yourself into a very, very unpopular set of circumstances to the American people and to this community. We in this country do not accept intimidation by litigation. I can remember when a powerful political machine in Baltimore County tried to steal property through using eminent domain. A county executive 20 years ago tried to steal this delegate's property to replace it by having his cronies take the properties and develop it on their own. He stood up along with all of the citizens of eastern Baltimore County. And even though the Maryland Senate and House did not have the moral courage to know this was wrong, and they passed a Senate bill okaying it, he stood up with his fellow citizens, and they took it with a petition signed by thousands of Baltimore County residents. They took it to the referendum. And the political cronies and the political machine was defeated at referendum 2-1. This guy right here. Do not ever underestimate the power and the heart of the American people.
Right.
Thanks, Rick, for putting this together. I'm Delegate Shalega. I did ride up to the neighborhood Sunday, and last meeting that we had right here in this room, there were concerns about grading and problems with the wall. It looks like they've gone in and graded and seeded that. Those of you that were very concerned about your property on the back, are you okay with what they've done? I see people nodding their heads over there.
It's still going to wash away.
Okay, well, I was, want to just make sure people here know in the last meeting there were some things that we did address.
Right.
And we, so it looked to me like that was done, and, I'm sure the county's approved it for now. I agree with you, when they start doing further excavating, I can't imagine that they wouldn't have to put a retaining wall in, but I'm not an engineer, so, so the county is aware of that, and that was addressed. And I think there were a couple of other things that were directly dealt with from the last meeting. So I thought it was important that we bring you up to speed, those of you that were here a couple of weeks ago, to let you know that that meeting was meaningful and impactful, and things were done from that meeting. So if there were other things, Gina, I think we had a whole list of things, and a couple of other things from that list were also addressed. So But I was surprised on Sunday when I went up that I did not see a for sale sign. And, you know, I did not see, if you want to buy one of these townhouses for sale, call this person. So, you know, more questions need to be answered. But thank you all so much for being here tonight.
Now also, I spoke with Brian Young, the People's Counsel. I know Delegate Impallaria has also spoke with him. And he does have a copy of the lawsuit in his hands. And we did have some conversation about how that is going to be handled. And I'm sure he's going to have a voice for the community on this, because he's very concerned about this. And he knows the People's Counsel was involved with the court order that was signed by the county, by the builders, and by the People's Counsel. And of course, when he signed that paper back then, he signed for all of you, because he represented the community. And we're gonna open up the questions here in a minute, but at the last meeting, we did invite a member from the Muslim group to come up and speak to us. And Dr. Fahid is here. He says, are we going to be fair? And of course we're going to be fair, and we do want to hear what he had to say. And he did say he did not know about this lawsuit.
No, I did.
He did, but he found out, okay, well, and so, as we've already told you, and I'm being fair because I told him ahead of time that we heard one piece of information, then we heard what he had to say on the news, and then we got the lawsuit, which verified what he said on the news wasn't accurate. So, Dr. Fahid, if you'd like to come up and say a few words to the group.
Thank you very much. You'll have to give me a little bit more time because I'm not good at this. I don't do this every day. I talk to patients in closed rooms. And actually, I saw a physician friend over there. When 3 of us physicians, and many of you will see that, you will probably attest to it. When 3 doctors come to see you by the evening, if I'm the 4th one, you tell me all 3 of them told me different things. Right? Is that true or not?
That's right.
You will continue to see this in this scenario before I tell you my story. Just because there are multiple parties involved, I'm not the lawyer. I will not be accurate on legal terms, so therefore I'll try not to venture there. I'm not a realtor. I don't know all the laws to the last sentence. And I'm not the person building those homes. I'm not OT LLC, the lot owner. But I do represent the people who will be living there. And if I were you, I would be concerned too. Let's just be very real. I appreciate, George, you saying up front that you were born at night but not last night. We have access to internet in our homes. I've lived in America for 21 years. And I want to be very, very clear. I can read the comments on Facebook. I can read the comments on those Baltimore Sun articles, and they bleed my heart. I'm deeply saddened by that because I've taken care of this community, and no matter how anyone treats me, I will continue to take care of you. I look different, but we all bleed red, blue, and white. We're all Americans. And before I go any further, I must tell you a little bit about myself. Because if I were you, I wanted to know about this brown man. Who is he? Where is he coming from? My name is Fahim Yunus. I was born and raised in Pakistan on the other end of the globe. In 1996, I came to USA not seeking opportunity, not seeking money, not seeking fame, but seeking religious freedom. You will have to Google that. Ahmadiyya Muslims, what we go through in Pakistan. We are persecuted by other Muslims. So I came to this land of the free and home of the brave, knowing that I'll be free here, religiously free. In 2001, if I have 2 minutes left, let me know. And if you have, because I think it's important for people to know. Okay, thank you. Just that, give me 2 minutes before landing, so I don't crash my plane. So in 2001, one of my uncles, who's an orthopedic surgeon from Johns Hopkins, works at Franklin Square. I was looking for a job after I completed my infectious disease training. He said, I know someone at Franklin Square, we'll try to get you a job there. He was instrumental. You could give him credit or blame him. But I came to Maryland because of him. Now that uncle is 82 years old. He cannot even remember everything. He came here in the 60s. I strongly feel that I owe it back to my elders in the community who came to this country in 1960s. There are dozens and hundreds of them all over the country. We had a dream to build a retirement community for them. That dream, we've been working on it for 7 or 8 years. We have had a nationwide search. We didn't start at Joppatowne, we ended here. We engaged McKinsey Consultancy. I flew out to Tennessee myself to look at a property. I drove to Richmond, Virginia to look at a property. We looked all over the country. Now, when those plans were being made, yes, all dreams, dreams are dreams. Initially, there was a dream because the law allows us. Maybe we should have a dedicated mosque. Maybe we should have 1, 2, and 3. When we came to Joppa, a lot of that information got carried over on that website, which you want to talk about. And anyone in this room, if you have never made a mistake with copy and paste, boy, you're an Einstein. Because I sure have made a lot of those mistakes. So there were some errors carried through. But then, where we are today, internally we have such a huge demand of these elders. And by the way, this is nothing illegal or unusual. Our beautiful country and the laws allow us to build such communities. There are Jewish, Christian, and other non-denominational retirement facilities like this. We will never discriminate against it. This community was and will remain open to everyone. I want to say that very, very clearly. All of you. And now, I know the next question, how can we believe you, right? If I was Mr. Impallaria, you can believe me by buying a house there. That is how you prove me. And so this is beautiful. I think, let me just make it very clear here. I want to respect everyone because I thought there was the word respect was mentioned. Anytime someone does that, I'm going to stop. And I'm going to ask you whether you prefer to hear from them or from me. And I will yield to whatever you decide. Because I'm here to serve, my children are waiting at home. Trust me, I don't do this for a living. I've got to be at work tomorrow morning. So I don't want to be disrespectful, but I'll let you make that decision. And I'll completely be fine with whatever decision you make. So this is where we are today. The 3 major issues that have come up. The houses are exclusive. No, they are not. 22 have been sold. The other way to look around is probably 25 or more are still available. You could buy all of them and I will be delighted. We are not excluding anybody. So why didn't we go ahead and promote? One can say, well, that's for the builder to answer, not for me. But in our own organization, there was such a huge 5 of our elders who initially, we had to do a lottery drawing because it was very difficult. How do you choose? There were a lot of people internally, so I did not personally see a need. Why should I go anywhere else? The issue of 55 and old, once again, you can, and I know people are recording this, we will abide by the law. I'm not a lawyer, and anytime, you saw that the size of the lawsuit, that's how every legal document is, 60 pages. When I try to go and read those things, they're so complex that the best thing for me is to give you my word that we will live by the letter of the law on the age 55. And the last thing about mosque or community center, we will have a community center there. And that community center will be used according to the law for social, educational, or religious purposes. There's nothing against the law. Do we plan to pray there? Yes, we do. I thought that prayer was an important thing in America. When did that become a taboo? Why should I, will you feel proud if I caved in and said, no, I'm not going to pray to the God of Abraham there? The same God that we believe as Muslims. True American story. Blue-collar worker is in the process of selling his...
To make them uphold the law. Now, I was on the council in 2004 when this case came right before the county council, okay? And when this case came before the county council, we were serving at that time as appeals board because they wanted to build, 50, 60, 56 townhomes. And the county council only approved 26 single-family homes. The lawyers appealed that to the courts, and the judge at that time, I think he's retired now, but that judge overruled the council and allowed them to build the 56 townhomes. So that's how we got to the townhomes. So with that, we put the amendment in, say, okay, we're stuck with the judge's decision, even though the judge is supposed to uphold the laws. The county council makes them, they turned that around. Anyway, we added to that amendment to that thing that said, well, this has to be a 55 or older community. That doesn't mean the owner has to be 55 and he lives in New York and sends his family down here to live. You know, that ain't what it says. If the law says that the owner of the property has to be 55 years or older and has to live there, okay? Now, those 4 people, who, and I know all of them, who bought those first 4 townhomes, as you come into that property on the right-hand side, they were built beautifully, they've done it very well, they've done exactly what the law said, and it's a 55 over, they expected to be there and retire there for their entire life. All 4 of those houses have elevators, for those who don't know it. They're townhouses with elevators, and that's great for retired people 55 and over. So, you know, I don't think they're gonna have elevators in all these houses, but I have a definite problem. The doctor, I like what you had to say. Unfortunately, that ain't what your advertisement says. And again, and Luther says the same thing. I don't care what Luther says, and I don't care what you said, doctor, because I believe what I read in paper and advertisement for the property, which they totally have removed from all advertisement.
Thank you. For those of you that don't know this, former Councilman Dion Guthrie was on the council when this project was first approved, as he gave us the lesson. I would say that we do know that there was advertising, but you know, advertising does not make a contract. Let me get a couple more people back here who have hands.
So this is a question for the delegates. At a time where Southern Poverty Law Center has indicated that hate crimes committed against immigrants, particularly Muslim immigrants, is on the rise, how can you justify making such a big deal about discriminating this group of Muslim developers?
Thank you. I don't believe any of us are discriminating.
Well, yeah, and I would say that does not happen in this community.
And the community is open. I think you've heard numerous people say that. So
that does not
sorry
happen
that
in this community.
you misunderstood that, but the Southern Poverty Law Center gets a lot of stuff wrong.
My name is Joshua Barlow. I was born in Kingsville. I live in this community. I'm from this district. And I'm glad to see, first of all, civil discourse. This is how you're supposed to work things out. This is how you're supposed to do it. So I'm proud of everybody in this room. The doctor mentioned something about house values. When I did a search on the internet, I found that house values around a mosque decreased. So I think that gives cause for a lot of people here to not only be upset, but to join a lawsuit. So I'm not against anybody expressing their religion, but to offer false doctrines and false statements and to propagate something that would isolate people and segregate people, I think that's wrong.
Thank you. It is not, a mosque has not been approved. Okay, thank you. Ma'am, over here. And Delegate Impallaria, a couple more questions and.
Yeah, let's try to get like 4 more questions, and I know the fire hall needs to haul back.
I just have a quick statement. I wanted to apologize to Dr. Fahim. If he was offended by my outburst a little earlier, I apologize. As a member of this community, I do not care what religion you practice. I don't care what color you are. I really don't. And you are correct. There are some horrible, hateful comments on those Facebook posts. I have seen them. You are correct. And I understand your leeriness for coming here. And I applaud the fact that you came here and spoke to us. The problem is not with you, nor the people who are moving in. If they came to any realtor in this room and asked to purchase a home, they would be grateful for their business and happy to sell you any property in this community. We would welcome you in with open arms. The problem is with excuse me, with Gemcraft and the builder and shady way in which we feel that they are violating the Fair Housing Act. It is not with the Muslim community, and if that's how you're taking this, I do apologize for that, and I hope that this will maybe change your perspective.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm sorry, and then I'll come to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. As a realtor in Harford County, and I've grown up in Harford County, I just question why it wasn't put on the multiple list system. That's what everyone does. You put your house on the multiple list system and trickles down to all the other social media sites, and that's how you sell homes in this country. Also, that don't spend time on social media. You'll be better off if you stay off of that, doctor. Please. I mean, these are the educated people of the community. We're right here. We're not on that. They're all sitting at home in the dark just being mean because, well, they're mean. The 55+ community was made so that to keep our schools from being flooded with children. So you were mentioned that there was 8 people going to live in each house.
I didn't say that.
Never said that.
Yeah, 160 people for the community for 50 houses. We just did math. But I was just, and you also said
3.15, which would be.
Oh, okay. And that the 55+ doesn't have to live in the home. So now you're talking about children. Where are they going to go to school?
Nobody said that.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying the 55+ community is the youngest person is 55, and the reason why they exist, honestly, is because builders are allowed to build, but our schools are already flooded with too many children. So that's why they're there. So, thank you.
Thank you. She's right. Don't spend too much time reading those Facebook posts. I try not to read mine. I've been told I'm a horrible person.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. My name is Mansoor Shams, and I know that we've had an interesting discussion. I too was a little bit, I should say, uncomfortable coming here. And I feel like, you know, there's an issue that's not being discussed fully, and I think we have to have an honest discussion. Has anyone turned on the news lately?
Not if I know.
So, the thing is, I don't want to name the person, but when we stood for the Pledge of Allegiance, someone yelled out, "Do you want me to help you with that?" Okay? Right here, on the right. I don't want, again, for that person's identity, I don't want to call him out. The thing is, the reality is, okay, we have to be honest. Because I live in this society, okay, I came to the United States at the age of 6 years old, from the same country as Dr. Yunus.
Speak louder.
I came from the same country as Dr. Yunus at the age of 6 years old. You know, I know that many people are uncomfortable with me. I look a different way, and this is a reality. This is a reality. I've been called ISIS, I've been called Taliban, I've been called Bin Laden, I've been called terrorist. Okay? But I'm also a father. I'm a brother. I'm a husband. I'm a business owner who employs 25+ people and pays their wages. I'm a Baltimorean. I'm an American. And what many may not know is that I'm also a United States Marine. So when I look at this situation, I want you to really take a moment to self-reflect. Because what's taking place in this nation is a disgrace. Uniforms, including me. So what we have to do, this is not to me about rules and regulations. We have to do some sincere self-reflection at the end of the day. What is going on? Do we want to be divided, or do we want to be united? So we have to be careful on how we pass our judgments. We have to understand. And I hope that by the time I leave today, I haven't asked. I am a proud Muslim American United States Marine veteran. And I want, if I could, request that by the time I leave here, I would like to shake each person's hand. And I would also like for you to not only shake my hand, but go shake the hand of the person that looks different than you. That would be honoring my service. Thank you.
And then we're going to have to.
Yeah, the fire hall wants their whole.
Real quick, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Abdul Latif Bennett.
Hold it closer so we can hear you.
My name is Abdul Latif Bennett. I am one of the people who wanted to move into this community. I'm I'm a member of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. Dr. Yunus is my president. I've been a member of the community for 23 years. I'm born and raised in Huntsville, Alabama, and I knew the demographics of Harford County in this area when I was thinking about moving here. And history and my family's personal experience has told me that even if I face resistance, as long as I maintain my peace, my stance on justice, righteous, liberty and justice for all, these are the things that we abide by in this country, and I'd be okay. So I wanted to move there, I still want to move there, and I hope that you'll be my neighbors.
And you are welcome. I know you can call from the community, but everyone is welcome in this community. Sir.
Thank you. Yeah, the only thing I really have to say is that everything in this country is supposed to be truthful. We're supposed to be honest, especially our politicians. And lo and behold, it seems like we're not getting exactly what we want and what we paid for. So the first thing I want to remind everybody is that we have heard from the esteemed doctor, and I really appreciate the way he talked. I mean, he really put on a good speech. He put on a good show. But the show is that in California and in Wyoming and in Michigan, there are Muslim communities. The Muslim communities there are so big and so powerful, they don't even operate under our laws anymore. They operate under Sharia law. Now, if you ladies would like to be operated under Sharia law and you like to help yourself, I would never treat my wife like that. But those are facts. They are factual places that operate within our country. If they want to move into the Joppatowne community, welcome. I'd welcome him. I'd welcome him as my next door neighbor. I'd welcome them gentlemen as my next door neighbor. But I don't want you getting a little cult going around. I don't like cults. And as far as I'm concerned, a community that is embezzled in itself is a cult. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for responding.
Thank you so much, and I really appreciate. I think we should do more of this. I'm feeling really good now. Some quick things. An issue was made about the website and things being done in secrecy. Really think about it for a second. If we want it to be secret, why did we have to put it on a website in the first place? Just think about it. Why would you do it? We thought you will never discover it. No, we really thought it was innocent. We had no bad intent. It was meant for an internal audience, almost like when you jump into my living room, you're not going to have any context of what we're talking about. If we really wanted to be secret, why would we even put it out there? Take it down. So good questions. Why'd you take it down, by the way? You can just raise your hand so I can identify you and then take a question. My feeling is more, we can do more sessions on this. So what do you do when you realize that people are being misinformed, and when you come to know of a wrong, what do you do at that time? I wish I'd invented a time machine. I'd go back and do it right. But I did not have a time machine. The only option at that time for me was to bring it down. So we at least stop that misinformation, get in front of you, and give you my word, which right now I'm the president of that website or that organization. My word, sir, is not good enough for a lot of people. I've heard the phrase, I don't care, 3 times I've written it differently. If my word is not good enough for you and still that misinformation is good, really we have to ask ourselves. Another point was made, the house values decrease around mosques. Come visit us on Rosedale. I'm going to, first of all, I could easily challenge you and say that's wrong. You have to produce data for me, and you don't have data. I'll tell you, you don't have data for that, sir. You just made it up. But you come to 7302 Pulaski Highway. That's how I talk, with facts. 7302 Pulaski Highway. There's a house on sale 3 houses behind us. And look at the price of that house and walk inside it. And then you'll realize what happens to property values. I'll just leave it at that. Go look it up yourself. Number 3, there was a question made, don't spend time on social media. before I go to that, Sharia law. No, sir. You, with utmost respect, I say your facts are incorrect, sir. There is no such thing in Wyoming or California or Michigan. Sir, I'm not going to argue with you. And I'm not going to, and I'm not going to.
I know, but Doc,
Question
real
was
quick.
asked.
I know, but here's the thing. We're going to try to stick to the fact, this is
Agreed.
not really a Muslim
No, I
issue.
agree.
We're trying.
Well, so anyway, I'm just saying.
Wait, I would like to say, when a gentleman says that is a fact, and we have probably the majority of the audience who would say that is not a fact, to call that out and say that is not a fact is not arguing a point, it is simply saying we don't want to misrepresent facts, which many people have complained about all night. So let's not misrepresent a fact.
But we're trying to
So
stick
Dr.
on the
when Dr.
topic.
Eunice says there is
Now,
not
listen,
Sharia
I'm trying
law.
to stick on the topic, and the topic is, should we have housing discrimination, whether it be black, white, Jewish?
I agree. No, I respect that.
And put a new advertisement up there, open it up to everybody. Change
So-
the advertisement.
No, we're not gonna get that.
Who do you want to listen right now? Myself or myself? Oh,
One minute to finish up.
I know. So the point is, I came here to answer your question. If a question is posed, a comment is made, and I don't address it, then you go home thinking he was a liar. He must be hiding something. That is why I have to address it. So, and again, you know, if you want me to shut up in 1 minute, I will. But I thought you came here to get your answers. My next point was, so that is not correct, sir. There are no such communities. Next point was, I wish, somebody made a very good point. Don't spend so much time on social media, doctor. That was said twice. I mentioned Facebook. It's really funny. It's really funny. You know what? I don't even have a Facebook account. And that's how we start assuming. That's the point I was going to make. You made a point, or government official seconded it. And you can go online and find out, I have never made a Facebook account. This, if you really think about it, that's the moment we came here for. I think that was a God-given moment to us. And I fully respect you. I don't want to put you on the spot. I absolutely respect you. I would have made the same mistake. I'm a human being.
You said comments online.
So what happened is, people are sending them to me. People who know me, they find it so offensive, they make copies and they send them to me. I do not have a Facebook account, but I did not. I absolutely respect you, man. I would have made the exact same mistake if I were you, but I'm just telling you how human mind works. When there is lack of information, we assume. My promise to you today is this. We believe in love for all, hatred for none. When you get to know us, you will see we mean business when we say that. We are giving you a promise. This housing community is open. There are more than 25 houses available.
And advertise it like that. Put it out there.
Who do you want to listen?
Put it out.
Listen to that.
And then, 1 second, and then we will abide by the 55-year-old law. We will abide by the community center laws. Here's something I visualize. And I'm sure at least one person in this group is seeing what I'm seeing. I'm seeing all of you. I'm seeing myself. I'm feeling exactly the same amount of time. I'm seeing more food sitting in the back. But you know where we're sitting? We're sitting in that community center. And we're all laughing as one family. That day is going to come, you mark my words. That day is going to come. A lot of you are going to be there, and you will be telling others, you know what? We are Joppatowne. It's such a beautiful community. We are more enriched. I'm proud to call them neighbors. Our children go, we don't have children again now. That's going to raise the question. But you see what I'm saying? That's where we are going to go, and you will remember this day. But if we don't give ourselves any chance, and if these things continue to go to legal battles, then it becomes an ego match. It becomes, that divides us as Americans.
Doctor, how do we buy a home from you?
Oh.
You're not the realtor.
I asked the realtor. I know. I asked the realtor. I knew this question will come. You can write it down. If you want to buy a house, I knew this question will come up. Call Bob Stone. The number is 443-608-2257. Once again, 443-608-2257. 2257.
Can you talk to somebody on that phone, or you get a recording?
I care for all of you, and I will continue to care for all of you. Thank you.
I know, listen, we can keep asking questions all night, and we have to wrap it up. And like I said, we haven't gotten all the answers to these questions, but I want to thank you being a strong community coming out and showing that, number one, we support anybody coming to our community as long as they come into community the right way. And that is just how it is. I know Dr. McDonough wanted to say a few words.
Thank you, Delegate Impallaria. Just a few observations. On the positive side, to the Marine, Semper Fi, and thanks for your service. I want you to know there are many, many military families in Harford County, probably more than in any other county in the state of Maryland. That's number one. Full disclosure, one of my doctors is a Muslim. I don't think he wants to kill me. Hurts me a lot. but we have many fine physicians and professionals who are Muslims in the state of Maryland. And the question is, and I will tell you personally what I believe, you may take this the wrong way, but the United States must have a relationship with the Islamic world that is willing to work for us and with us for liberty around the world. And there are many Muslims that are in that position and want to do that. And that is what we need. But adding to that is this. I believe the doctor, and he said he wants love for all and hate for none. But here is the problem. You're getting off on the wrong foot. By starting out with either misinformation, a mistake, deception, whatever you want to call it, that's the wrong foot. That's not love. Okay? That does not generate trust. That does not generate credibility. But okay, people make mistakes. We accept that. Everybody gets a second chance. But then when you file a lawsuit against what the doctor referred to as government officials, we're not government officials. Look at the Constitution. We are elected representatives of the people. We're not bureaucrats. We don't issue permits. We work for you. You put us in these jobs. And to file lawsuits against the elected representatives of the people is like filing a lawsuit against the people and their rights as citizens of the United States. You cannot generate credibility and trust for the future, which would be a good thing. There are many Muslims that live in Harford County, many. And you cannot generate trust unless you have full disclosure, transparency, and you do not resort to litigation. There's one thing a lot of Americans agree on. Sometimes we love lawyers, and sometimes we hate lawyers. And when we feel that it's an unfair litigation that doesn't make a lot of sense, we then say it's intimidation. And you're not here to be intimidated. You're here for information. Kathy's here for information. Glenn Glass is here for information. Delegate Impallaria and the community leaders. So I hope we had some questions answered today, but did we get all of our questions answered? What do you think? Did we? No. All right. So doctor, you're a good man. We need to get more information. And you need to talk to your lawyers and tell them that the lawsuit is bad PR, doesn't do the Muslim community much good, not at all. And number two, it's going to drag the whole case out. So it actually, in a way, remember when I was here the first time, I said we might have to get lawyers? This actually doesn't, we don't have to get lawyers now. We have lawyers that the taxpayers are going to pay for. And as I said before, there is a respected and powerful legal foundation waiting in the wings, ready to move when it has to. So we won't have to spend any money. It's going to be taken care of. I want to finally thank all of you. And I want to thank the doctor. And hopefully in the future, as we move forward, we can get some answers and we can resolve the situation so it works out. Thank you.
If I can, I have to do this because it's part of my job. If Delegate Ali could come up here, because he is one of our newest delegates. He is a freshman delegate. He is brand spanking new. So this is, come here, brother, come here. He's from Baltimore City. So, welcome.
Thank you.
So how did your old senior members handle themselves tonight? Are you okay?
I think they did a good job. I'm really proud of Pat.
Wait, what about me? What about me?
We know you. Yeah. Well, first of all, this is really a good show of the community coming together. Also, I'm one of 2 Muslims in the state legislature. So I would mimic what the good doctor had said. Get to know people before we make assumptions about people. Don't get caught up too much into the hype of allowing hate and assumptions to motivate. What I want to do is make Maryland kind again. And I think that's what we have to focus on. And that's for all people, because we're all people. And I think I came here today because I am a Muslim. And I came here because I am very concerned about the situation. I just came here to observe and to be supportive of my friends. I know Dr. Yunus. I know what type of man. When we had the uprising in Baltimore, every day he was with me, every day to ensure that those senior citizens got fed, and we coordinated their prescriptions because we're very empathetic about elderly people. And you may not know, I'm elderly myself. So I just think this is good. People are going to have different, diverse opinions about things, and that's why we have a court of law, to determine what the facts are, not our opinion. Everybody has an opinion, but the law is applying with the law, then we must be a people that are governed by the law. Thank you. You did a good job. You got an A. You know, Kathy is one of my favorites.
One of the most important things you have to learn about being an elected official, never give the microphone up to another person. So with that, listen, we'll hang around and answer a few questions after this. We got to give the hall back, but we're not going to run out. I'm sure the doctor's not going to run out, despite the fact that kids want them at home. So we'll be here. Thank you very much for coming, and we will plan other meetings in the future. We will notify you.